Why are you still broke when you know everything about money? You've read the articles, watched the videos, studied the strategies. You know compound interest works. You know you should invest early. You know budgeting matters. So why is your bank account still depressing? Because knowing and doing are two completely different games. Here's the uncomfortable reality. Your money problems aren't knowledge problems, they're psychology problems. You don't need another investment tip or budgeting hack. You need to understand why your brain keeps sabotaging your wealth. Every financial decision you make is filtered through emotions, stories, and mental shortcuts that have nothing to do with logic. Here's what they don't teach you in school. Intelligence can actually make you poorer. Smart people overthink investments until opportunities disappear. They analyze stocks to death while simple investors get rich buying and holding. They create complex budgets that they never follow instead of using simple systems that actually work. I've seen engineers making six figures living paycheck to paycheck, while their janitor retires as a millionaire. The difference isn't IQ, it's psychology. The janitor understood something the engineer didn't. Money is emotional, not logical. Smart people think they can outsmart the market. They believe they can time everything perfectly. They assume their intelligence gives them an edge. Wrong. The market doesn't care about your degrees. Psychology beats intelligence every single time when it comes to wealth building. Your biggest enemy isn't the market, inflation, or the economy. It's your own mind. Every day, your psychology is making financial decisions that your logic would never approve of. And until you fix this internal conflict, you'll stay stuck. You're broke because you're playing someone else's money game. Social media has turned everyone into financial athletes competing in events they didn't sign up for. You see someone's vacation photos, and suddenly your emergency fund feels inadequate. You see someone's new car, and your reliable Honda feels like failure. But here's the reality check. You're comparing your behind the scenes to everyone else's highlight reel. That influencer posting from Bali might be maxing out credit cards. That friend with the designer bags could be drowning in debt. You're sacrificing your financial future to compete in games that don't even exist. The psychology of money says this: there's no such thing as being rich or poor, only rich or poor compared to something else. When you constantly compare, you'll never have enough. The goalpost keeps moving. You think making 100K will solve everything, then you make it and realize 100K doesn't feel rich anymore. Stop competing with other people's financial lives. You don't know their debt, their family money, their real situation. Focus on your own scoreboard. The only competition that matters is you versus your past self. You're stressed about money because you're trying to control things you can't control. Stock market crashes, economic recessions, inflation, these are hurricanes, and you're standing in the rain with an umbrella thinking you can stop the storm. Smart money psychology focuses on what you can control: how much you save, what you invest in, how long you stay invested. That's it. Everything else is noise. But your brain wants to feel in control, so it obsesses over predictions, market timing, and economic forecasts that are basically financial horoscopes. Here's the hardest pill to swallow. The best investors are often the most boring. They don't predict markets, they don't time trades, they don't follow complex strategies. They just buy good investments and wait. That's it. But your psychology craves excitement, complexity, and the illusion of control. The wealthy understand something you don't. Uncertainty is the price of admission to wealth building. You can't eliminate risk, you can only manage it. You can't predict the future, you can only prepare for multiple scenarios. Accept what you can't control and focus everything on what you can. You're broke because your psychology operates on the wrong timeline. You want Amazon stock returns, but with lottery ticket patience. You expect compound interest to work like a microwave when it actually works like a slow cooker. Most people's financial timeline looks like this: invest money, check account daily, panic when it goes down, sell at a loss, repeat. They're playing a long-term game with a short-term mindset. It's like planting an oak tree and expecting apples next week. The psychology of wealthy people is different. They think in decades, not days. Warren Buffett's favorite holding period is forever. Jeff Bezos planned Amazon as a 20-year project when everyone thought online shopping was a fad. They understood that real wealth requires real time. Your impatience is expensive. Every time you panic and sell, you're paying the patience tax. Every time you chase quick gains, you're falling for the instant gratification trap that keeps most people poor. Wealth isn't built in years. It's built in decades. Here's the brutal math. If you started investing at 25 and never touched it until 65, you'd have more money than someone who started at 35 with twice your income. Time beats money. Patience beats intelligence. Psychology beats everything. You're not broke because of your circumstances. You're broke because of the story you tell yourself about money. I'm not good with money. I'll never be rich. Money is the root of all evil. Rich people are lucky or corrupt. These stories become your financial reality. Your money story started in childhood. Maybe your parents fought about money, so you learned money equals stress. Maybe your family said, we can't afford that so often that scarcity became your default setting. Maybe you were taught that wanting money makes you greedy. But here's the truth. These stories aren't facts, they're choices. And choices can be changed. Rich people don't have better money stories by accident. They actively rewrote their financial narratives. They replaced, I can't afford it with, how can I afford it? They changed money is evil to money is a tool. The story you tell yourself about money becomes the life you live with money. If you believe you're bad with money, you'll make bad money decisions to prove yourself right. If you believe you're destined to be broke, you'll sabotage opportunities to stay consistent with that identity. Change your story, change your bank account. It's that simple and that hard. You're paralyzed by financial fear because you're focusing on the wrong risks. You're afraid of losing money in the stock market, but you're not afraid of losing money to inflation by keeping it in savings. You're scared of investment volatility, but comfortable with the guaranteed loss of purchasing power. The psychology of money reveals this. The biggest risk is not taking enough risk. Playing it safe feels safe, but it's actually the riskiest strategy of all. Your money is losing value every single day it sits in low-interest accounts. That's a guaranteed loss, not a potential one. Fear makes you focus on what could go wrong instead of what could go right. But wealthy people have the same fears. They just act despite them. They understand that the pain of discipline weighs ounces, but the pain of regret weighs tons. Your fear is expensive. Every day you wait to invest because you're scared is a day of compound growth you'll never get back. The market rewards courage and punishes hesitation. Not with certainty, but with probability. And probability is on your side if you give it time. You'll never be rich because you don't know what enough means. Your psychology keeps moving the finish line. First, it was 10K in savings, then 50K, then 100K. Each milestone feels like it should be enough, but it never is. The goalpost keeps moving because your psychology adapts to whatever level you reach. This is why lottery winners go broke and why people making 500K feel poor. Money doesn't change your psychology. Success at any level feels normal after you achieve it. What felt like wealth yesterday feels like baseline today. The secret is defining enough before you start building wealth. Not just the number, but what that number represents. Security, freedom, options. Get clear on this, or you'll chase money forever without ever feeling wealthy. Rich people aren't necessarily happy, but they're financially free because they solved the enough equation. They decided what they needed and stopped when they got there. Everything beyond enough is gravy, not necessity. Here's your psychology fix. First, acknowledge that money is emotional, not logical. Stop trying to think your way to wealth and start changing your behavior. Automate everything you can so your psychology can't sabotage your progress. Second, change your money story. Write down every limiting belief you have about money and rewrite each one. I'm bad with money becomes I'm learning to be good with money. I'll never be rich becomes I'm building wealth slowly but surely. Third, focus on your timeline, not other people's results. Your only competition is your past self. Are you better with money today than you were a year ago? That's the only metric that matters. Fourth, define your enough number and stick to it. Don't let lifestyle inflation steal your progress. More money won't solve psychology problems. Only psychology work solves psychology problems. The psychology of money isn't complex, it's just counterintuitive. Do the opposite of what feels natural, and you'll get different results than everyone else. Your financial future isn't determined by how smart you are. It's determined by how well you understand your own psychology. The market is unpredictable, but human behavior is remarkably consistent. Master your money psychology, and you master your money. Most people will stay broke not because they lack intelligence, but because they never learned to think properly about money. Don't be most people. Your psychology can either be your greatest asset or your biggest liability in building wealth. The choice is yours. But choose fast. Every day you delay to invest is a day of compound growth you'll never get back. If this opened your eyes about money psychology, the full book will blow your mind. It's the psychology manual that every investor needs. Link in the description below. And if you found this valuable, subscribe for more money truths that nobody else will tell you.